Okay, I'm by name Suleiman Makusidi, representing Niger State Child Rights Agency in Niger State. Well, as it is, Mina as the heart of the state and as well the state capital is actually the youth, the restiveness of the youth in the state today is actually alarming, because you look at it as it's very unfortunate despite the securities in place, the law that have been put in place, and still everything that is happening sounds as if maybe the law is a kind of a very not that strict, undermine the principles of the law, and that is what is bringing all this in place. That today there are some certain areas that even the security agencies cannot just go into without any verification or having a kind of some certain people, locals with them to go into such areas. So it is very alarming. And as it is, if no measure is being taken just as it is going now, we thank God and that our stakeholders, the leaders of the state, the chairman, and some stakeholders have already put it in place. Before, the Child Rights Agency has put some measures, because this unrestiveness of a thing starts from childhood. The children actually have been, and all of these children that are doing this, if you look into them, you realize that it's not that they don't have anything to do. No. These are the children that when you sat them down, they will tell you some of them are tailors, some of them are mechanics, some of them they all have handles that are doing. So you cannot tell somebody you ask him, he will tell you that maybe it's because they don't have anything doing, or is a poverty of a thing that trigger them to go into such situations. But when you sat down with people, or these children, or these whether they have transformed into adults now, or they actually started these acts when they were at the age of teenage age, then when you sat down with them and asked them questions, you come to realize that these children can actually do a wonderful things if they should kind of be monitored, or they should have a kind of hand that will mold them to what they should be in the society. Well, this is what we call the children involved in any kind of crime. We call them children in conflict with the law. These children are actually in conflict with the law because they go in separate way with the law. They are not going according to the law of the land. So and if they are not going, they are going contrary to what the law stipulated for what they should do, then they are being brought into a kind of form, because there is all eyes on the children now, unlike before. But the government has brought all kind of eyes on them, just like a satellite on them now. They are watching everything that is going. You can, if you realize, if you just look around, you realize that the Child Rights Agency was enacted 2015-2016, and by the present administration of Governor Bakar Sani Bello, and it's all due to such occurrences, the kind of abuses melted on children, and then also the children that are going in contrary, or that are having conflict with the law itself. So there are always there are things in this law that is enacted, child rights law that is enacted, has come and carved everything in a place just for the children. Just like adults do have their own mode of molding, that's how the children also have their own way too. Yes, the right of a child is protected in as much as the child, whether the child is in conflict with the law or the child is in line with the law, the right of every individual has to be put in place, whether it's a child or an adult. The right of that particular person needs to be protected. You can see that even somebody in the prison has a right also. The right needs to be in a place. And then the children that maybe some people have also always have it that the child cannot be put behind the bar. It depends on what you define as a bar, because you cannot actually combine a child with an adult in the same cell. Maybe in the police station you put them in the cell. Actually, the kind of in the police act, you realize that it's not only this thing. The only place that you can take a child to when there is this thing is a police headquarters, or if they're in the absence of that, you can take him to area command. Then from there, in which they cannot, without any waste of time, they take it to court, and the court will actually take the child to any form of rehabilitation or remand home. Yeah, I can say it. So many things have played its part into the situation. One, the first is the parentalhood. Two, the society. And the third one is the kind of the governance of itself. These three factors actually play itself into the present position we found ourselves. Because what we call kind of wills, whether it's political will or individual will or power will or whatever, that's placed whenever there is a kind of someone in conflict with the law or somebody that has actually committed a crime, and then certain people with a position come down and be seeking that person should be released and should not be punished, or certain punishment that is melted on the person that commits such a crime should be actually, that person should not be subject to that punishment. The punishment should kind of they should play kind of justice with mercy to that particular person, and such things that Hausa people call alfarma. Those are the things that kind of kill the society today. Because when there is that, in Niger State, like in Mina here, we call ourselves the family home. It's the kind of place where anybody that committed a crime, once goes to the police station, you realize that his brother or uncle is one of the officers in that place, or go to any form of legal or law enforcement office, you realize that there are a lot of people that will talk to them and talk them down. The punishment that is supposed to be melted on them will be kind of now that is minimized or level 2, either 0 or maybe 1. Well, for a child to know his right, sometimes when you tell a child that this is your right, he will actually misplace it. He will go to the extreme mile and exhibit all the law or the rights that is said that he has on the parent. For example, they said no parent, or there is not, you cannot correct a child by using cane or your hand, bare hand, to kind of correct a child. No, a child is your friend and otherwise. So in the situation, like in the local homes where we are all brought up, we all know, we're all local. I am, like me, I'm a local person. I was brought up by a kind of iron hand that's nobody can tell you that this is right or this is wrong. You just have to place it yourself where it belongs to. Like today, you realize that a child is even suing his father for like correcting him or for using a cane to correct him, on which that particular father that is correcting the child has undergone several of this, is giving his child those one punishment that is giving the child. He has undergone thousands of it when he was like that particular child. But today, the development, or do I say the kind of the society we live in today has brought about so many things that with the mode at which, because the difference between the correction and cruelty, discipline and cruelty, is just a tiny line. You won't know when you are crossing the boundary to be cruelty. So at that very point you find yourself in each one, then sometimes you find a way to correct yourself. But in the present situations, when your neighbors has found out that this is what is actually going on between you and that your child, they report. And once you report, if you, maybe the person you might meet, the agency or the law enforcement agency you might meet, they might not even go with the culture at which you are brought up from. They'll go according to the law that is present before you, and then you realize that so many things will be put in place because that child has been told about his rights. Actually, so many things that are being kept away from the child. The only thing we do is we educate the adult based on that part of the children's rights, so that the adult will know how to protect those rights without kind of being put it before the child. It is because of this kind of right of a thing that some children has undermined the principles of the law today. They have undermined it. I would say undermining the principle of the law or the flexibility of the law. That's the unrestiveness of a thing today has been going on. Just like now, presently the agency has embarked on a program to sit down and then put in place how to come about a child when found in situations at which this unrestiveness of a thing, the punishment supposed that embedded on them, that will be melted on them, how we integrate it, that to suit the child just as it suits the adult. So that is what the agency is ongoing now with that program, and also the a way to find out how they can be able to put up a punishment, or how to protect the rights of that particular child in whether in a remote village or in satellite town or in the cities, wherever it happens. You see some videos going viral of a woman or a man melting a kind of some abuses on children and all sorts of things. You call them, once they are before the law, they will start saying they are ignorant of the law, or it's a kind of work of the devil. So once put in a place, we'll be able to minimize the level of it. But once a child is told that your father cannot beat you, and he sat on that, then that particular child, you are subjecting that child to become what we cannot be able to control later in the future. Well, the misbehavior of a child start from the tender age, while it begins from the parent, can be blamed on the child depending on who the child is or where the child is being brought up. The child, you realize that some children are brought up by their grandmothers, some children were brought up by their mothers, some children are brought up by the two parents, where there is a divided home, there is a broken home. The children sometimes resulted to that, and so also the society where the children are kind of exposed to also contribute. And so also sometimes, just as I said earlier, sometimes depending on which of the law enforcement agency a child is being placed to. Sometimes you can see we have local securities where we have a video car, we have ADC, we have vigilantes and what have you, that maybe play their own roles also. And the situation whereby a child committed a crime, and the child may be from this particular ethnicity, and the person he committed the crime to is a kind of not from that particular ethnic group, you come to realize that those securities are shielding that particular suspect. They are shielding it because it belongs to their own set, belongs to their own kind of ethnic, and such things also actually place itself also in spoiling or contribute in the form of restiveness of a thing. Then everybody has his own contribution to the form of whatever restiveness we have in the country or in the society. Yeah, I will call the attention of the general public, so the parents, the parent-to-be, the parents, the community leaders, the law enforcement agencies, the heads, the enforcers, the kind of field workers, and also neighbors, wherever you may find yourself. There is no single child that belongs to one person. Every child belongs to the society. And whenever you see somebody's child misbehaving or do anything contrary to the law, you report to the parent. If action is not taken, report to any law enforcement agency. You have the right to follow up the case. But this fact of saying that I don't want to create enemies within the society, whether you like it or not, you already have enemies. So all you need to do is to control your enemies. And how do you control your enemies? By doing what you have to do at that particular moment. If you think what you are doing is right, but it is wrong implementing it, then you will not do it. And definitely that's where you start doing another wrong thing. All you need to do at that particular time when you find a child doing anything that is not okay, all you need to do is call the attention of the parent. If it's not corrected, call the attention of the community leaders so as to put it to the right being. You can see there are some security locals that come up with an idea of, they form their security format. They put it, if they see a child with a kind of, any kind of head cut, they correct it, and they give him the punishment he deserves at that moment. So those that put that way, a kind of crazy ways, they also put that into a kind of control. They put all those children into control, and you realize that that particular environment or society, the residents is being controlled to the minimum. So that's how we want every community or society to brought up about. There are youths that are well-to-do, and they mean well to that particular society. The community leaders can put those particular youths together and then talk to them, how can we be able to find a kind of merit, or do we find security to this environment? There is no way somebody can come from somewhere and commit a crime in your environment without one person from your environment that is into that particular form of crime, because he doesn't know your home, he doesn't know what you do in your society. But once you have everything in your environment being put that is secured, you see that even those youths that are into that particular form of acts, they will think twice before getting into that particular environment. So I call on the general public to kind of let's all put our hands on desk and see how we can be able to fight this particular menace that is before us. Thank you very much.